Okay, in my reloading segments working with the E3 shotgun powder, we did some work with the 9mm and come up with a halfway decent load. I'm going to test some of it today too with a 124 grain cast bullet. But I'm also working, I have my M1911 and we're working up a load for the 45 using the same powder. And what I do is have a 200 grain bullet. I've got a lot of these cast up for the 45 and we're doing some test runs, basically experimenting with the powder since there is no load data. What I've done with the 200 grain cast bullet, I've started with 3.8 grains and I'm going to run up to 5. I'm going to see how much my velocities are. Right now, with about 4 grains of powder, I'm in the 800s. This last batch of 4.2 grains averaged out about 850. I want to kind of stay away from 900. I still have a few more in the series to run. And basically what we're doing is we just set the pistol up with the chronograph. Set down range there. And we just go in 0.2 grains at a time. We're just going up with the bullet, seeing what we get. Those went a little low. So that 0.2 grains looks like it added another 20 feet per second. The last bullet was 873. So I just run like this, and like I said, once I get to around 900, that'll be a little too hot. But basically that's how I work the loads up, trying to stay in a safe limit. Watch the chronograph, and maybe we'll get a winner. Actually, it's fairly accurate. I'll review the targets later when we get home. Okay, so far in my experimentation, somebody said like 4.5 grains of E3 behind a 200 grain bullet, and that's about hot. 5 grains is getting up to 1,000 feet per second on the high side, averaging out about 977, and I'm losing a lot of brass, getting tore up. So that's too hot. I'm thinking more about 4.5 grains, keeping it down to 800. Just for the hell of it, once I save this, I have some old loads that I did with 5.4 grains of unique with the same bullet. I'm going to see what my old hand load, which I liked a lot years ago, I'm going to see what it compares to the E3 velocity here. Okay, obviously years ago when I experimented with this, I used 2 other popular powders which are hard to find. That's why we're fooling around with the E3. My favorite load was 5.4 grains of unique, and I found another box that's got 4 grains of bullseye. So just for the hell of it, we're going to run 10 rounds each piece across the chronograph of my old hand loads, my old pet loads, and see how they compare to the E3. So actually be a pretty good deal. 8:15. So that's close. We'll get an average and all that other fun stuff. Alright, that's the unique. So next we're going to try 10 rounds of bullseye and we'll see what we get. Okay, the 5.4 grains of unique load is averaging about 831. I think that's about it's close to around the 4.4 or 4.2 of E3 as a standard. So now let me run the bullseye and we'll see what the results are. Okay, 4.5 of bullseye. Old load. They're in the high 7s, a little bit less on the velocity. Right there in the red. Yep, high 7s. This load here is probably a bit more accurate than the rest. They don't call it bullseye for nothing. Let me go get an average velocity. Alright, with our bullseye load, we're getting an average velocity of 787. 900 feet per second is pretty steep, and I got that E3 up there at about 1,000, which is too much. High 7s, low 8s is real good for a cast bullet in the 45 ACP. And when I get back at the end of this video, I'll review it and get a comparable load that's pretty close or in between my two pet loads of unique and bullseye. And I'll review the targets too. Okay. Alright, now it's time to analyze our targets here. What's this one? This one here is 4 grains of E3. That's 3.8. I think that's what I started. I had to get used to it. 4 grains of E3 ain't bad. Then the 4.2, which wasn't too terrible. But then when I got up here, this is the 4.4 and had an average velocity of 888 feet per second, standard deviation of 12. And my 4.6 had an average velocity of 923 and a standard deviation of 9. Kind of stabilized out. And basically that's what I was looking for, is getting that deviation number down. So that's kind of why I went with the 4.5 grains of E3 with that specific Seiko style bullet. The 4.8 was a little bit better for grouping, but the chronograph malfunctioned. I got an average velocity of 940, but the standard deviation didn't come out well. Now my controls, which is my 5.4 grains of unique, gave me an average velocity of 831 and a deviation of 17. And then my bullseye, 4 grains of bullseye, gave an average velocity of 787 and a standard deviation of 12. Basically that's what I was trying to keep, that deviation number low. The other results, no matter what, the deviation number was higher. So the closest I got even though accuracy wise was the 4.6, I decided to go with 4.5 in the E3 for that 200 grain bullet. And I haven't actually gotten out to run some of it through, and see how it does, but that's what I'm choosing. That's what I think is safe, about 900 feet per second, around that ballpark. I don't want to get any hotter and beat the gun up, so basically that's my choice. But if you do use it, work up to it, because this stuff, I hate using stuff without no published data. I hate experimenting, but I can't get my unique or bullseye without paying like triple. So for now, until things calm down and becomes available, it's something to experiment with, but please be careful.